of the offer are set out in the confidential appendix. So as you will have noted from the report, we have made progress in a number of areas in terms of our council home programme, and we're expecting the first homes to be delivered, subject to approval today, in 2022. And we will be providing further updates, an update at the next committee in terms of infill sites, and then a further update in November in terms of our approach to housing delivery as a whole. If there are any questions, please do let me know.
Councillor Price.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I've not had the opportunity to see the confidential matter because I couldn't get that on my screen. So if I touch anywhere which is going to be sacrosanct, Chairman, please cut me out straight away. But I hope what I'm going to ask is a general observation, and that's on the cost of the first scheme at the Beach Coach car park. You mentioned abnormal costs. Have you taken into account, or will you be taking into account, what is predicted to be the massive increase in the material costs of actually building the place, apart from the abnormal cost that you say? Because my information is from the construction industry is that prices are rising at a fantastic rate, and budgets that are set today may be completely out of kilter in 6 months' time.
We are aware of that, and some allowance has been made, and that's why we're keen, if we get approval today, to go out to tender as soon as we possibly can, so that we can secure a price. Without touching on the detail of the confidential appendix, one of the things I have said is that when we get the tender prices back, the scheme isn't viable, we wouldn't proceed, and we would come back to committee for guidance on how to proceed. So please be assured that we will be keeping a very close eye on the costs and making sure that this is a completely viable scheme.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
Okay, any more questions or comments? Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. This may cut across both number 10 and number 11. I'd just like to raise the issue of when we're looking for these infill plots of land and this very land for the housing needs. I just wonder if we could make sure that we always ask the ward councillors in each ward early on at the beginning of the investigation, because very often ward councillors have a ground view of what's happening around their ward, in a detailed view. No disrespect, sometimes more than the person looking at a map or looking at other holdings. So I just ask that, especially after the various DC decisions which happened, which I think could have been avoided if ward councillors had been approached in the initial stages. So I just ask that's part of the process in future.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, there's a report coming through to July Housing Neighbourhoods Committee, which sets our approach to infill sites. But also, as you're aware, we will be preparing a development standard, and there's a task and finish group which has yet to be convened, but will be convened very shortly, which will put in place our processes for moving forward. But one of the things we always do is, when we're looking at an opportunity, before anything went anywhere public, we would always engage with the local members and seek views and guidance on that.
Okay, Councillor Gaylor, and then Trevor.
Yes, I'm thinking that whilst these are social homes, there isn't much of a problem. But should something like right to buy come along in 20 or 30 years' time, I'm just wondering whether the current building society's insistence upon brick and tile construction is going to present a problem for people to buy them.
That's a good thing in my view, but I'll pass it over to Nicola for comment on that one.
Now, I'm going to use the wrong term, so I do apologise. If we do go through for a modular build in the end, after we go through the tender process, then the modular we'll be looking at is BOPAS. I'm looking to Claire's nodding, thank you, so I got it correct. And that is a mortgageable product. So obviously there is much more use of modern methods of construction. Modular is becoming increasingly used as a method of construction, and so there's been put in place a process for ensuring that properties are mortgageable, and they have to have a minimum 60-year life to meet that requirement. So yeah, that is something, because also we want to make sure that the homes are robust and would have a long life, because when we're building council homes, we're not building for 10 years, we're building for 60, 100 years. We want to make sure that our homes are robust and quality and will last that long and meet needs and be appropriate to meet those needs at that time.
I'd also say in the 70s they got mortgages for steel framed houses, and now you can't, so I'd urge all tenants not to purchase their properties and leave them with us for people that need them. Sorry, Councillor Wainwright.
Just on the infill sites, obviously there's a paper coming forward in July. It always appears that infill sites are very contentious, and we've seen that with Crab Lane and the Great Northern Close. And as Councillor Williamson has said, you know, obviously members do need to be consulted, but could we actually look at, I mean, we do own land that isn't on council estates. We've got Beacon Park, for an example. Now, I know Phase 1 and Phase 2 have been allocated, but we do have the capacity on Phase 3 to perhaps put some of these module builds on there. And I have talked about that on many occasions before, that we should be having a mix on that type of land. It's a big, there's a lot of acres there, and it's always been ignored. But, you know, we have got the opportunity to do it on Beacon Park. We have got the opportunity to do it on Phase 3. So, you know, could that be looked at? Could something be brought forward? So we can look at the possible costings on that as well as these infill sites that you're going to come up with.
Sorry, just waiting for the siren to go past. Certainly we can look at other land, other than land within the housing revenue account, other land owned by the council to provide council homes on. But there is a cost for that. So, for example, for Beachcote Station, the council is acquiring that land to the housing revenue account from the general fund, and there is a cost to purchase that land, and that adds to the cost of those schemes and those homes. Whereas if we're building on housing revenue account land, there's no land value, it's free, because the council has already bought that land, it already owns it within the housing revenue account. So certainly we would always look at non-HRA land, but we would just need to look at the overall cost effectiveness of that as well. I mean, I can't talk about Beacon Park specifically, but I can just say is that, you know, our own HRA land will not be the only ever land that is used to provide affordable homes for the council.
Yes, thanks for that. Yeah, I agree, 100%. But, you know, I just think we should be looking at it. I mean, I know there's a cost, an additional land cost, because it's not part of the HRA, and you said that we happened at the Beach Coast Station. So, you know, it's worth considering. It's worth bringing it to members to actually have a look at to see the viability of it. That's all.
Okay. Any more questions or comments from any members? Okay.
Just following up, there was a piece of work done on that particular piece of land back 5, 6, 7 years ago by the finance officer at the time. And it does stack up financially to actually have a mortgage on the buildings, and at the end of 20, 25 years, the buildings are owned fully by the Borough Council through that period of time. It is possible to do it. It just takes a longer period of time to actually own the building outright.
Okay. Any more comments or questions? No. Recommendations are on page 71, items 1 to 4. Can I have all those in favour? Any against or abstentions? None? Okay, that is carried. And moving on to item number 11, any other business? I have none. So that's the end of the meeting then. Thank you very much, everybody.